Bonjour à tous! Aujourd'hui, je vais préparer une noisette de Financier d'almond classique. Hey guys, thank you for returning for another episode. Today I'm going to show you how to prepare a classic French recipe for the almond Financier, or otherwise known in Australia and New Zealand as the Friand. This delicious little petit gateau was created in 17th century France to be able to eat it while you walk. It was created for the finance district or for people working in the stock exchange. And it's super easy to make. They're absolutely delicious and I hope you try them. So we'll start off with preheating our oven to 170 degrees Celsius. Take 110 grams of unsalted butter into a large pot because this foams up quite a lot. And we're going to make a beurre noisette, or a brown butter, some people know it as. Essentially, the butter will clarify over the heat and the milk solids in the butter will toast and sink to the bottom. We're just going to use the clarified part, but you can use beurre noisette in so many different products, and the flavor and the smell of it is just amazing if you haven't had it before. It takes about 5 minutes, just don't take your eyes off it. Next, we just need to separate 5 room temperature eggs, and we're just going to use the whites. You can keep the yolks aside to make something else another day, like a crème pâtissière or something. Many ways to separate an egg, but I just use my clean hands. It's totally fine if you clean your hands, but I find it so much quicker, and you don't have to worry about breaking the yolk with your shell or getting pieces of shell in there. It's just a lot faster this way. So put the yolks aside, and we're going to keep the whites aside until we need them in just a moment. Next, weigh 155 grams of pure icing sugar and 55 grams of all-purpose plain flour, and 110 grams of almond meal or almond flour. Or if you would like, alternatively, you can also swap this out for equal parts hazelnut meal to make hazelnut financier, which are awesome as well. And then you're just going to combine all 3 of those ingredients into the food processor or a blender and process them down until they're completely smooth, like a flour with no lumps. So once your mixture reaches this stage and it looks completely smooth and like flour, then it's done. So now we can start with our 5 egg whites in a large bowl, and we're just going to whisk those by hand just to break them up a little bit and get them kind of foamy. To those, we're going to add 1.5 grams or about a heaped quarter teaspoon of fine sea salt. I'm using fleur de sel, but that's pretty hard to get in Australia. You can just use flaky sea salt and crush it up a little bit. Add that into your egg whites and then give it another good whisk. Then swap to a spatula, and we're going to mix in the almond mixture. At this stage, our beurre noisette should be the right temperature to use. Just warm is where we want it. And we're going to mix in our vanilla first and then follow with our beurre noisette. So I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of good quality vanilla again, or you can use a vanilla bean or vanilla extract. And then you can just pour that whole bowl of beurre noisette into your mixture and stir that in until it's completely homogenized and smooth. So that is it. That's the mixture, and now you just need to transfer it to a piping bag fitted with a small piping tip. You don't have to use a piping bag if you don't want to, but I think it's a lot faster, it's cleaner, and you just have more control in general. If you haven't filled a piping bag before, just twist the base of it, sit it into a glass, and fold the open top of the piping bag over the sides of the glass, and that's a really easy way to fill it. Okay, so let's talk about molds. So you can use a mini muffin pan or a regular size muffin pan. I'm using this silicone rectangular mold that I had. It's closest to the original Financier shape, but whatever you have, you just need to make sure you don't overfill them because they are quite dense and moist once they're finished baking. So if you use a regular size muffin or cupcake pan, just fill it 1/3 of the way. It's supposed to be a small cake that you eat with your coffee. It's not the size of a cupcake, just keep that in mind. Or a mini cupcake pan would be perfect. So I'm just going to fill these halfway, and then I'm going to bake those at 170 degrees Celsius for 12 minutes for this size. And this is the moment where if you'd like to add some raspberries or chocolate or nuts, you can go ahead and add those before they go in the oven. When they're caramelized, cracked down the middle, and spring back to your touch, they should be ready. Just leave them 10 to 15 minutes before turning out. Bon appetit!
Trusting your spirit, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.